Started. Good evening. Welcome to the RSU 14 Wyndham-Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. The time is 6:30 p.m. The date of the date is Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. May I have a call to order, please?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler.
Yes.
Jenny Cummings. Marge Gavoni.
Yes.
Pete Hensler.
Here.
Anna Keeney.
Here.
Kate Levier.
Here.
Scott McLean.
Here.
Christina Small.
Here.
And Molly is at her courting ceremony in the stadium right now, so she will not be with us tonight. So
Good for her. Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Anna. Mr. Howell, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
no, we do not have any adjustments tonight.
Excellent. We will now move into public input. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda. Anyone wish to comment? I see no hands. Okay. First up is summer programming and school reopening update. Mr. Howell.
It's exciting that we're getting ready now to wrap up what has been a super busy school year with all sorts of changes and all sorts of protocols, and then start the process, which actually started months ago, with looking into the fall and how do we actually bring all of our students back and start to return to full in-person instruction and a full 5 days a week. So it's exciting work, it's exhausting work, and the administrative team has been brainstorming and working through some ideas. And I think we've all kind of taken the attitude right now is that we will plan for the absolute worst. And as things change, that we will go ahead and make adjustments that we'll check and adjust, and that we'll go ahead and make those adjustments and look at how we can actually do our reopening. And there's been quite a bit that has changed over even the last few weeks with COVID and COVID protocols. And so what I wanted to do tonight with Christine is to go ahead and capture just some of the things that we've been working on, some of the protocols and things that we've been discussing, and then also to just reinforce for the board and for the public that for even guidance that's coming from whether it be Maine CDC or National CDC about what's going to be their suggestions for the fall, that there are still some things that are up in the air. And I've got a couple spots here which I'll share, which is we can take a look at some recent guidance that came out for summer camps and use that to kind of guess which way the CDC is going. But I'll point out a few areas for you tonight where we just don't know for the fall. And again, we are planning for what we think if conditions were to be or protocols were to be the same as what they are right now, but knowing that there's a good possibility that things are going to change and things could change very, very quickly. So I have a few slides that I want to share, and we'll start here. And so part of, I think, etched into everyone's memory is back in August, 1st of August, that we met and we looked at a school reopening plan. And that reopening plan had many, many new things for us. Christine and I had a chance to sit down this week, and it was interesting as we were going through different portions of our reopening plan of how many things that were just new, such as cleaning, disinfecting, masking, social distancing, transportation, and what transportation would look like with masks and with social distancing, the cleanliness guidelines, even all the travel guidelines, of which things have changed pretty quickly. And then, as we know, mask guidelines have changed. One thing that has stayed pretty steady throughout the year are the 6 requirements for safely opening schools, such as symptom screening, physical distancing in the facilities, mask and face covering guidance, hand hygiene, some of the PPE equipment that we've had to put into place, and then returning to school after an illness. But many of those things have changed. And a lot of this, as we were going through our old plan, we've noticed that there's quite a bit of growth and just some protocols and things in the district that we've gotten used to, because now it just has become second nature. So as we get ready to go into the fall, we'll be revisiting, or the board will be revisiting this in August, and looking to approve a plan for fall opening for two reasons. One is, again, to make the public aware of what the protocols will be at that time. Secondly, as part of American Recovery Plan and the funds that we receive through that, we need to go through a process like we went through last year in outlining how we reopen. Last time the board visited opening, and I don't really like the term reopening because we never closed, but it's been commonly referred to that reopening discussion. But a number of things have changed since April, and in reality, this is 8 weeks ago, and I think we've seen more changes in the last 8 weeks than we did see in the previous 8 months. So first of all, out of the blue, I think we were all surprised that outdoor mask requirements quickly changed across districts, across the state. Had the chance to go out over Memorial Day weekend to go to stores. And I'm sure many of you had the same angst. Do I put a mask on? Do I not put a mask on? What's everybody else doing? But outdoor mask requirements being lifted for classrooms and for kids outside with classroom teachers, and even an emphasis on outdoor learning. The availability of vaccine for ages 12 and up, something we did not expect to see this year. Many of our high school students 16 and above had already been, those who want to be vaccinated are already taking care of that. The vaccine clinics that we held here in the district, I think we did about close to 340 students with a first dose, being able to provide that service. We saw some huge changes to indoor and outdoor capacity limits, with those percentages changing and the governor lifting limits, and in some cases going to 100% capacity in some facilities. And then something that I think you probably all notice is that we've seen a significant reduction in daily cases. The last COVID letter I sent out was on May 19th. I think over the course of what we've experienced so far, I think I sent close to 65 letters, and then other community updates as things changed and went along. And our COVID dashboard, I thought it would be important to share this. This is the first time in recent memory that I can remember, if you look at active, positive, or probable cases, as far as things connected to the district, we do not have any active cases right now. And as far as things, this would be district direct related, we do not have students in quarantine. And board members, you received all the emails from me. So we've seen a huge change in numbers of quarantines. And I'm willing to bet, I haven't done the final tally, but with 152 cases, I'm guessing we're in the neighborhood of between 16 and 1700 individuals that were quarantined at one time or another during this entire process. So all those phone calls. So we're seeing all of these changes that are taking place, masking changes, outdoor requirements changing, capacity limits changing. And all of this is leading towards a greater confidence that as we head to the fall, and this is what we're planning for, is planning for a full day, 5 days per week for all students. There was a rumor that was going around in the community, so hopefully a few people are watching this, that middle schools or high schools will be returning to just half-day programs. Those building administrators, those leadership teams are planning for full days of school, not half days. So if this particular meeting, if anybody's watching, that we can continue to get that message out, that's the goal and that's the target that we're aiming for. The other part that we're working towards is that we're bringing back our remote team. We remember correctly, board, we've had 35 individuals who've been working remotely, working with a hive of around 550 students. The Department of Education will no longer have the requirement that remote be an option. We're still looking at it that if there's students for medical reasons, that either the IEP team or 504 team is making that determination, but we're planning to have students back in person. So that's the schedule that we're working for. Social distancing wise, and I know this is one of the biggest questions that I get from parents when I have phone calls or emails or from staff members. What does the fall look like for social distancing? I don't know. I really don't know. I can guess, and I think we'll see some guidance very soon. But right now, as far as what we're planning for, so number one, May 14th, we received some guidance that 3 feet of social distancing between all members of the school community. The previous 6 feet between staff and students was reduced down to 3 feet. Previously, when we were looking at opening plans in April, that was at 6 feet. So that part's been reduced. Same thing for bus drivers, that's been reduced. So we're planning for that 3 feet of distance between students. We're going to talk in a few minutes about pooled testing and what that is and whether or not we even want to pursue that as a district. Districts can go below 3 feet if they implement a pooled testing program. One of the issues with pooled testing is that we have a couple of our schools, middle school and high school, where we could conceivably have a majority of our students will be vaccinated. And so those types of schools are not recommended for pooled testing programs. It doesn't gain anything if you're vaccinated. So will those schools be able to operate below without going through a pooled testing program? And may social distancing not be a requirement? But in preparing for the fall, we are planning for reduction in class sizes. In a few minutes, I'll share some slides where we're looking at hiring additional staff using our federal monies. In addition, as the high school went through scheduling process, Ryan reduced his class sizes and class signups to make sure that sections were able to fit within spaces. That was one issue we ran into in April, is that many of our sections were larger than the spaces because you had students half on one day, half on the other. Both sections got overloaded. So I'll share some of those in a minute. So some hints from summer camp guidance. The CDC recently put out within the last week national guidance for summer camps. And in that guidance, no social distancing requirements for vaccinated populations that they've put it out there. Why this is important is that, and this is just kind of a little side story, in some conversations with the commissioner and learning about how Maine CDC is operating moving forward. If you remember correctly, over the past month, there have been times where Maine CDC has put out guidance and then National CDC has put out different guidance either the same day or within a day of that. So Maine CDC has actually now started to back down a little bit on putting out checklists and guidance. That's why you saw the community guidelines for sports disappear. So now we're all looking towards what's National CDC putting out. And again, it's a hint from summer camp, but possibility of some of those social distancing requirements. And in many cases with vaccinated populations not having to wear masks. Whether or not that's going to be reality for us, we still don't know. So transitioning to masks, mask requirement for outdoor classes, outdoor activities, spectators went into effect on May 24th, but it came out in some May 14th guidance. It has been great to go around the campus and to see classrooms outside with students unmasked and enjoying some activities. In addition, I have enjoyed seeing spectators back in athletic events and seeing individuals being able to cheer on, especially for our spring sports kids, who, if you remember the last year, they did not have a season, not even a partial one like the fall one. That entire season was canceled. So masks are currently required for all school-based indoor activities. That is not an RSU 14 decision. That is a state requirement that we as a school district need to follow. So that is the current guidance. We will wait and see what's Maine CDC, if they follow National CDC, and whether or not we see some changes, because schools are going to be reopening in August all around the country. We would expect to see that soon. And again, the secondary piece, requirements for the fall, we just don't know. Food service, student meals, something near and dear to my heart because we do have the absolute best food service program in the state by far. I think it's important for our public to know that. Current guidance says 6 feet of distance required for students eating. If we as a district move forward with pooled testing, 6 feet of distance is required for students when eating. Pool testing doesn't do anything for you as far as eating distances. Again, this will be an area that we'll look to for some national CDC guidance, but we are planning with the idea that if we have to do 6 feet, we have to do 6 feet. So looking in some of the buildings of adding additional lunches, adding alternate lunch locations, alternate lunch protocols, but knowing that is a possibility that we have to stay at the 6 feet. Again, so much has changed within the last 6 weeks. There is a possibility that the 6 feet of distance required between students may go away in some buildings. Again, we don't know. I wish that I had that magic crystal ball, and I wish I had the Dr. Fauci hotline here at my desk, but I don't. So we have to go best by the guidance that we have. I will tell you, in just reading some of the national guidance for summer camps, that social distancing requirement for meals is starting to disappear. So again, it may be a hint as far as what we're seeing in the fall. Transportation wise, we are moving forward with full ridership in the fall on buses. I don't know if students will need to wear masks. There's a good chance, like we did this past fall, that we'll continue to run buses as long as we can with windows down, with adequate airflow, but looking to return to that full ridership because otherwise we're not going to be able to transport all of our students to school. Let's go to athletics for a minute. Community sport guidelines have been pulled by the Maine CDC, and we've received word that currently the group that does all of the guidelines is not at this point putting in any guidelines in place or working on a set of guidelines for the fall. So what that does mean is that close contact sports at this point are going to be allowed. So football being one of them, wrestling's a winter sport. I don't know whether or not wrestling will be required to wear masks. What I do know from this guidance so far is that wrestling will happen, which this year wrestling had the opportunity to train. They didn't have the opportunity to put hands on each other for wrestling moves and things like that. So good chance with that. Fall planning, mask requirements for indoor sports. I know volleyball is a fall sport. At this point, looks like volleyball will go. Whether or not the students will have to wear masks, again, we're in a bit of a holding pattern here for that final guidance. So I want to just talk a little bit about pool testing. There was an article in the paper today. It looks like Augusta has made the decision that they're going to go ahead and do pool testing. I don't feel at this point, with all the changes that are happening, and we're going to have the same discussion with the nurses tomorrow, if to the extent that we as a district can meet all the requirements and not do pool testing, then that is going to save a lot of work on our healthcare staff. If it means that we can get some further benefits from pool testing, then we'll look at those further benefits, and I'm going to talk about that in a second with quarantine. So we haven't shut the door. We as a district, we have done the application. We've applied for what's called a CLIA waiver, which is a waiver which allows us to do all the different testing that goes along with it. It's actually a waiver that we've held all year long. We've done all the steps that we need to put into place in order to implement pool testing in the fall if we have to. If we don't have to, then even all the better, but we are poised, we're ready, we've planned. And tomorrow, Christine and Lisa and I are meeting with the nurses, and this is actually one of the topics that we're going to be talking about. Is this a protocol that looks like it's something that we should do to make sense? And what pool testing is first of all, it's not a pool. We don't have a pool in the district. I wish we did, but we don't. But students within pool testing submit a sample into a pool of samples. So student in a classroom, I do a quick swab of my nose, put it into a vial, that whole classroom goes off, and that classroom is tested. If one of the tests in that classroom set come back as positive, the entire class is tested again. The students that test positive have to go into quarantine. This is the one advantage that I can see for us as a district for pool testing. Anybody who tests negative can stay in class. There's no quarantining. So it is an advantage for the quarantine piece, but it doesn't alleviate you from the 6 foot currently of social distancing required. So if sometime in the next few weeks, social distancing goes away, mask requirement goes away, 6 feet of distance goes away, alternate opportunities come for quarantining, it does not make sense for us as a district to move forward with it. We'll have everything in place if we want to go forward with it. However, if none of those things change and it looks like it's a viable option to reduce the number of students that may possibly be in quarantine, we may need to do that. And we have a little bit of time on our side before we have to make the final commitment that we're going to go ahead and do that. One of the things that we have made a commitment to in the district over time is that when we make a decision that we are moving forward the decision and we move forward with the protocol. And so we're not 100% there yet that this makes sense, and we'll continue to monitor. One important caveat with pool testing, 30% of the school must participate in the program for a school to use the pool testing protocol. And so it's a key number. We'd have to have 30% of our students. What we've learned from the pool testing companies is that if you have over 30% of your students vaccinated, it doesn't make sense to do a pool testing program. So in essence, we would only be looking at elementary schools for pool testing if we decided to move forward with it. Again, tremendous amount has changed in the last 4 weeks. We expect other changes coming in the very near future. We'll have a good sense of what's going to happen with cases over these next few weeks. Again, it has been an absolute blessing to not have a case in the last 2 weeks or last week and a half. You watch and we'll have one tomorrow, but it's been great to be able to do that. We're keeping this as a tool, but again, if we don't need to do it, then we don't need to do it. So again, nurses will be meeting tomorrow and we'll continue to plan through. And again here, pool testing isn't necessary in a vaccinated population, and is the benefit worth the time if it doesn't reduce the 6 foot requirement for meals? And it's just one of those cost benefits that we're going to have to go ahead and wade through. So personnel to support the fall opening. We've been working with the administrators, and we will be hiring some additional staff using ESSER 3 funds. That's part of the American Recovery. Those are the funds that the district will be receiving for the next couple of years. These will be 1-year positions to start. So second grade is a larger grade at Wyndham Primary School, so adding a second grade teacher, a 4th grade teacher at Manchester School, a 4th grade teacher at Raymond Elementary. And that's some, if you remember from Raymond Elementary, that's an item we actually talked about in budget with numbers, a part-time English teacher at Wyndham High School. I believe that's a 5th. Katahdin with some additional social worker help. And then again, our nurses have been fantastic throughout this. And as we look to implement whatever health protocols that we need to put in place for the fall, we do need to have additional nurse support. We've had one this year. It has been fantastic, especially days where we've had somebody out and we've been able to shuffle nurses, or when we've had a large scale quarantine and that we've needed to have all hands on deck to notify families to be able to have that nurse. Again, the spare nurse has served as an on-call person on vacation weeks, weekends, and it's been a great support for us. So now we're going to transition into summer programming, and then maybe at the end we can take questions from the board. Christine, do you want to jump in on summer?
Sure. So in addition to fall planning, principals and teacher leaders, special education, regular education, all sorts of folks have been working very hard on thinking deeply about what summer programming needs to look like in response to student needs that have emerged this year as a result of COVID and this unusual schedule of the year. So Chris, if you go to the next slide, this represents, and I know there's a lot of information here, I'll try to walk you through it, but this is a summary of what the different schools have come up with for summer programming. And this is based on student needs. So the data has been used, they've reviewed the data, and invitations have gone out to families for students who qualify for summer programming. So you'll notice at the top under each school, and so if you start to the left here, Windham High School in Katahdin, you'll see that Windham High School has an in-person credit recovery offering. The dates across the board for all in-person are June 15th through July 1st, so 3 weeks immediately following the last day of school, which is June 14th, starting at 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. and that's across the board. So both the high school and Katahdin have a credit recovery model. Windham Middle School to your right, all the way down through all the other middle school, Jordan Small, and the elementary schools are putting together a literacy and math intervention offering for students based on invitation. And those who qualify, same date, same time. So our transportation department's been working very hard to coordinate those bus runs and van runs. The top here, the in-person, really represents the regular education and those students who receive special education but need regular education intervention. So an area where they're not receiving specially designed instruction as outlined in their IEP. So there is quite a bit happening in schools across the district, and those are all on site at the individual schools. In addition to the literacy and numeracy or credit recovery, all of the principals and staff have been working to make sure that there's an element of socialization, working to meet social emotional needs in addition to academic needs. And you'll also see then that the elementary schools are offering an online option, and that's to all families. Invitations or information was sent out from schools. You'll see things like Lexia and iReady Math, reading incentive programs, all sorts of online elements to support their learning throughout the summer. Of course, they needed to communicate with the technology department so that all of those devices could be deployed and stay in the hands of those students and families through the weeks that are designated there. They vary a bit based on the school and what they put together for a program. In addition, you'll see in blue, Lisa Garno and her special education team have worked hard to plan ESY, extended school year programming. They have a 5-week model this year, starting June 21st, so a week after school gets out, right through to July 22nd. And so you'll see that the sites where that is offered are Windham Primary School, Windham Middle School, and Windham High School, also from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so that's based on IEP determinations for students who qualify for ESY programming. Again, I want to reiterate that special education and regular education students can have access to what's up above here for the summer programming. But if it's specific to their IEP and they qualify for extended school year, they would receive information about those weeks that are in blue. I also wanted to draw your attention on the left here in this cream color, there is summer nutritional programming that will be going on. Jeannie Riley and Ryan Roderick have worked with their team to not only plan healthy snacks that will be at all of the sites for summer programming right through June 15th, right through to July 22nd. But they also will continue the bulk food distribution as they offered last summer. And so those will occur on Mondays and Thursdays from 11:30 to 12:30 at Raymond Elementary School and Windham High School. So stay tuned for more information about that. And just in the green here, we are again offering transportation for families who received the invitation for summer programming. They did need to respond to a survey that went out by May 14th so that the transportation department could get that set up and ready. However, they still can participate, but they will need to transport if they missed that deadline. As I believe their bus runs and van runs are all set up and ready. With the exception of the ESY special education students, transportation will be provided to all of those students regardless of the May 14th deadline. So Chris, the next slide, just one more shout out to our fabulous nutrition department. We are very grateful that the free meals for all students has been extended right through the summer. This has a link here you'll see if you'd like to order a summer meal. There's the RSU 14 NutriSlice link where you can go online and order the meal. And again, Mondays and Thursdays, those will be at those 2 sites. So in addition to the snacks for summer school, you can pick up bulk food, much like last summer, vegetables, fruits, all sorts of wonderful things, recipes. So we're looking forward to that as well.
I don't know if there's any questions from board members as to what we shared. Anna?
I just have a quick question for you, Chris. Looking at the slides where we talk about hiring extra staff, there any concerns around finding individuals to fill those roles?
For yes,
For the
there's always concerns. The one good piece is that typically for elementary hirings, there tend to be more candidates than there are positions. So we will be able to find candidates to be able to meet those, find those people. Jenny? Oh, you're muted, Jenny. Oh, no, you're good now. I can hear you now.
Okay. I wondered if there are going to be other organizations using the school buildings this summer, like Summer Rec or the town for other kinds of things. And if whatever event is happening in whatever school building, if masks are going to be required on the inside of the building for whatever happens to be going on.
Yeah, so we do currently have Summer Rec scheduled to use the building. And also we have the town scheduled to use the auditorium for the annual town meeting. We have not made a definitive decision on the dance troops or dance groups. I'm not sure what I should be calling them that use the facility. At this point, we're requiring groups to follow school protocols and school guidelines for masking. What we're still waiting to see, Jenny, is we're still waiting to hear from the MPA for summer basketball and for summer volleyball, whether or not there'll be a mask requirement. But at this point, we're having outside groups follow our protocols for distancing and other things.
Thank you.
Scott?
Thank you, Chris. So as far as the pooled testing goes, I know that there's a lot of unanswered questions, and you guys are going to be sitting down and talking with representatives about that. But one question that I would have as a parent is what type of tests are going to be done, and what is the margin of error with these tests, and what are these tests actually testing for? Are they testing for COVID? Are they testing for antibodies in the system? Those are questions that I think a lot of parents are going to have, especially the younger population.
So the test that just Scott, I can answer some of those questions. The test that is used is the Binex Now rapid test. We've been using it as a district since November, and that's actually the testing that has allowed staff members to be able to test out of quarantine. So that's the test that actually get used. I think one of the capacity questions that we have is that, let's say that a classroom comes up as a positive case, then it would require the nurses then to test everybody in that classroom through that process. And do we have the personnel in order to be able to do that? Again, one beneficial thing to it is that a student can test out of quarantine. One of the questions that we've asked is that there are other tests out there, such as a PCR test that you can go to Walgreens and get. Can a student test out of quarantine with that and not do the pool testing program? Is that an option? So we're still waiting on some guidance for that. But it is a test that we've been using as a district for staff for now quite a while.
It's interesting that you say it's the Bionex, because I was actually just at Walgreens picking up a prescription, and they actually have the Bionex boxes right in the window. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mrs. Briggs?
Thanks. I'm curious, an additional teacher for second grade, where are we putting this person?
Dr. Rhodes has identified a classroom space to use. I would actually have to get back to the board on what space that is.
Okay. Because I thought we were full up. So I'll be interested to know where that's going. And then the other thing is summer staffing. Has that been finalized, or is that in process, and is that an issue?
We're still working on hiring and filling all of those positions, but we're making progress, so we're not concerned at this time.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Howell on summer programming or school reopening? A lot of information there, and it sounds like it's still a moving target, so I'm sure we will get an update in August where we land with all of this. So thank you for that.
And Kate, if I can just add, we will continue to keep the community notified over the summer as things
Good.
change with protocols and other things. So, you know, as far as if social distancing requirements are relaxed or masking requirements are relaxed, that we will continue to inform everybody about that.
Perfect. I know everybody will be interested. Seeing no other questions, I'm looking around. I don't see any hands. We're going to move on to our next agenda item. We have 3 district office executive administrator contracts to approve. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the amendment to employment agreement for Director of Curriculum, Instruction and Assessment, Christine Hessler, at a salary of $112,662.43, which also extends the contract to June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Kate Briggs,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the amendment of the employment agreement for Lisa Garneau, Director of Special Services, at the salary of $125,180.48, which also extends the contract to June 30, 2024.
Second.
Any public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor?
Kate Briggs,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the employment agreement for Assistant Superintendent Christine Frost Burton at a salary of $127,335.75, which also extends the contract to June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor?
Kate Briggs,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
Christina Small.
Yes.
We're going to move on to policies. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the first reading of GBM policy earned paid leave for non-unionized employees.
Second.
Any public comment or discussion? This is a law that was passed last year by the legislature, and I am going to ask Mr. Howell to give an explanation.
Sure. So as Mrs. Briggs just said, it was passed in the last legislative session last year. And originally the law was designed to make sure that individuals who didn't have paid sick time or paid vacation time, that the original purpose was to make sure that those individuals, first of all, had access up to 40 hours, but that also that they could do those in hourly increments. The law for specifically to us, we've chosen to address earned paid leave through contractual language with the professional staff and the support staff, and you'll be looking at the support staff contract tonight. But for our non-unionized employees, earned paid leave law, this policy actually covers them and defines how that they can actually go ahead and use their leave in those hourly increments. And so individuals can accumulate up to 40 hours of earned paid leave. We've adopted a model where we have some individuals that are, if they're under the 40 hours, that they can continue to build, and if they're already at 40 hours, that they continue to add or have that time roll over time. So specific to those individuals that are not in the, what is it, Becca, the SESEA or the RWESP or the Wyndham Raymond Administrators Association, all the other individuals who aren't covered under those would fall under this policy.
Thank you. I don't see any questions. All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
and Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the first revised reading of IKF policy graduation.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment or discussion?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Certainly.
So I've kind of thought about this one pretty hard. I'm going to go down as a no vote on this one. And the reason why I'm going to go down as a no vote is because I understand the state has passed new legislation stating that 22-year-olds can extend, but I'm not comfortable with that. So for that reason and that reason alone, the entire policy looks fine with the exception of that piece. So for that, I'm going to vote no.
I believe for clarity, legislation has not been passed. Am I correct? It was an administrative letter, as was described by Isabel Ekman when she came and discussed with the board previously, but I am going to pass it to Mr. Howell for further clarification. And we're fortunate to have Lisa Garno, our Director of Special Services, with us as well.
And I'll just first of all, and then Lisa, before I turn it over to you. So specific in this policy, this is to students who receive special education services who would be eligible to age 22. Students who are not receiving services still would fall under the requirement to age 20. And Lisa, if you want to go a little bit over more of the background to the administrative letter based on First Circuit out of Rhode Island, I'm going to turn that over to you for that.
Sure. Scott, I appreciate your comment. And for those listening, Attorney Ekman was here last time, and Mrs. Brooks is correct. There has not been a Maine statute passed at this time requiring districts to go to age 22. However, the federal law is through the age of 21. And so there was a court case recently a couple years ago out of Rhode Island. And that, as Isabel explained, that would be the court that should a family take our district to due process or any other district in Maine, they would likely lead towards that decision. And so the guidance that we've received is that for those students for whom it is appropriate, again, with the decision made by the IEP team, that we should follow the federal guidance of through their 21st birthday inclusive, which means as of age 22, they're no longer eligible. So for example, Scott, if I'm a student who the team determined was eligible to attend those additional years, if I turn 22 on September 10th, that's my last day of school. So it's not like now when the student turns 20, if I was to turn 20 on September 10th, I would stay through June of that school year. So it is inclusive of the child's birth date. I think for perception, we're not anticipating that there's going to be a large number of students who are going to be staying with us until their 22nd birthday. Our goal is to, meet with the students and their families every year and, have them continue to do their educational programming with their peers. We do pretty regularly have students who do a 5th year, which will put them into 19, and occasionally, depending upon students' retention or birthdays, we might have a student stay through their 20th birthday. That said, as we've talked about, we do have some students who are significantly disabled who are moving into our district who are eligible under this new guidance. And so those students, for the most part, are attending special purpose private schools. And so we would need to continue to provide those special education services. But it will be a small population.
Lisa, if I may.
Sure.
I understand that a letter has been drafted and will go out to.
Yes. Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So Drummond and Woodson had provided a guidance, sort of a generic letter to all families. And so Christine and I have worked on it initially. We just have to finalize it, but it's our intention to send it out before the end of this school year, just notifying all high school families of the change in the guidance regarding age 22.
Good, so we'll be communicating.
Yes. Yep. So they'll actually get a copy specific to, with their student's name and everything on it, but we'll have the same information we've talked about here in the board, and we'll reference both the administrative letter and the guidance under MUSER, the special ed law.
Terrific. Because this is a pretty substantial change to this policy, we will be doing a first revised reading, and then at our next meeting, a second revised. We want to give folks ample opportunity to be aware of this change. This isn't just a small little tweak. This is a pretty major change. So we want to be completely transparent with this change. And so you'll see this again. I think we've had a first and a second. All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Nay.
Christina Small,
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the revised reading of JEA policy, student compulsory attendance.
Second.
Any public comment? Board comment? I'll comment. This policy, student compulsory attendance, this change is in Part A, and I'll just briefly read it. This is a result of the change with the graduation policy, and per guidance from Drummond and Woodson, this was added, notwithstanding the foregoing, which I love that phrase. Special education students who have not received a regular high school diploma will be eligible for free and appropriate public education until age 22. So it just dovetails with the graduation policy. We've decided to move forward with just a revision instead of a first and second revise. So this will be the last time you see this, but it is in conjunction with the graduation policy. Okay, may I have a motion, please? No, I don't want a motion. I'd like a vote.
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Nay.
Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. We now have some appointments. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the following appointments for the 2021-2022 school year. Austin Carr, grade 8 teacher, Jordan Small Middle School, bachelor's 14, salary of $60,760. Kelsey Douglas, kindergarten teacher, Wyndham Primary School, BA 0, $40,709. Kimberly Proctor, grade 1 teacher, Wyndham Primary School, BA 30, $73,491. Elizabeth Smith, grade 2 teacher, Wyndham Primary School, BA 2, $42,831.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment or discussion? All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler, Jenny, was that a yes? Okay,
Yes, it was.
Marge Gavoni, oh, sorry, yeah, Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. Next on tap is an executive session with the Education Support Professionals Association. We will be coming back. May I have a motion, please?
I move to enter into executive session to discuss Raymond Wyndham Education Support Professionals Association contract negotiations with the RSU 14 School Board pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405 6D.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
and Christina Small.
Yes.
We'll be going into an executive session, but we will return, so stay tuned.
The support professionals contract between the RSU 14 Board of Directors and the Education Support Professionals Association for July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment on the motion or discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion. The motion should read that it's through June 30th, 2023. It's a 2-year contract that we're ratifying.
Correct.
So the amended motion should be, I move to ratify the support professionals contract between the RSU 14 Board of Directors and the Education Support Professionals Association for July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023.
I will also second that.
Thank you.
So I move to approve the motion as amended.
Thank you. Any public comment?
Kate, Becca has her hand raised.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to, Rebecca Cole, RSU 14, grade 1, SESEA president and NEA board of directors. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of our support staff, led by Ms. McAlpine. Their efforts to make sure that kids get to school, get fed, have the best of instruction and support that they can while they're there, or if they're in a remote situation, has been phenomenal. They have truly gone above and beyond, and I just wanted to offer them congratulations on a successful year and look forward to continuing our work together.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Board discussion? I'd like to take this opportunity as well on behalf of the board to thank Jamie and those on the negotiating team for great effort. I think it's a wonderful contract. We're proud of this contract. Jamie was amazing as the lead negotiator. And I'm not sure that people really know who's included in this. And I'm going to read the categories, and Jamie, help me if I miss somebody. Ed techs, bus drivers, custodians, food service, van drivers, secretaries, clinical, ground staff, and did I miss? I did.
We have our noon monitors at the elementary school levels who help run the lunch and recess blocks to make sure the teachers get a break and that our kids are fed and safe.
Perfect. I knew I would miss somebody. In any event, all of these folks are crucial for the operation of our schools, and we could not function without them. So thank you and congratulations for a great contract. Any other comments from the board? All those in favor?
Kate Brooks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
and Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. Next up is a report of the secretary. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the minutes of the May 19th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Kate Brooks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
and Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. Next up, committee reports. Finance?
Yeah, finance met on the 25th of May. And we started off the meeting talking about revenues, year-to-date revenues, year-to-date expenditures. And we're pacing pretty well there. On the expenditure side, this is through the end of April. We had 21% left. And just a couple of things to highlight. We had a lot less substitutes during the year, so we realized some savings there, and we didn't have to dip into our contingency fund at all. So all in all, looking good from an expenditure standpoint. And then revenue was looking good as well. As of the end of April, we had 18% of the revenue expected. That was remaining still to come in. And on the revenue side, obviously with COVID, where we were kind of lacking or hurting over previous years was on gate receipts and auditorium rentals. So that's pretty much the highlights of that discussion. But really the main purpose of the meeting was to talk about the proposal from Maine's governor. As most of you probably heard, Jan Mills is proposing that the state of Maine step up and fund the 55% of school costs as they're supposed to. And so that's in the proposed budget. So we met to talk about what the implications to the district would be. And if it is to pass, it looks like it's going to be an additional $1.3 million in subsidy coming into the district. So with additional subsidy, there's 4 ways that you can use that. And so the finance committee talked about those 4 possibilities. And if this is to pass in the future, then finance committee will certainly bring a recommendation to the full board. I don't know if you want me to say more than that, Chris, or if you want to add in anything.
No, I think, Pete, I think you've captured it. I think right now we're kind of in a holding pattern until the legislature finishes. It will most likely be finished after the community vote on Tuesday. So we will follow statute for, you're exactly right, Pete. There's 4 things that we can do with the funds, and finance will make a recommendation to the full board as far as how to best use those funds when they arrive.
Thank you. Facilities?
Facilities has not met, but Wyndham Middle School Building Committee did meet last week, and we conducted our second interview of CHA, and we will be meeting again tomorrow night at 6:30, and we will be joined by RBC. Is that correct, Chris?
Yep.
WRBC?
WBRC.
Yeah. So more to come.
Thank you. Nothing from policy, technology, anything, Anna? Not Anna, Christina.
We haven't met since the last meeting, but our next meeting is June 7th.
Okay, terrific. Mr. Howell, superintendent's report.
I just have one item that to share my superintendent's report for today, which is just a reminder to the community that on Tuesday, June 8th, that is the budget validation referendum for the RSU 14 budget. The polls at Jordan Small and Wyndham High School open at 7 Tuesday morning and close at 8 o'clock. I believe in the town of Wyndham, that is the one item on the agenda, or on the ballot, is the school budget. And in Raymond, I think you have a select board, school board, and as well as you have the budget. The budget link will be going out in the Wyndham Eagle this Friday community with additional information about the budget. But again, we encourage everyone to get out and vote and to participate in helping us to fund RSU 14 schools. We typically have a decent turnout, but again, with very little on the ballot this year, we know that voter turnout is going to be low.
Thank you. Let's move on to board roundtable. Anyone have anything to share? Scott.
Thank you, Kate. I just wanted to reach out to community members for those that are listening or going to be watching the recording. I encourage folks to reach out to our legislatures in Augusta. If you are looking to try and get some change coming with mask mandates or social distancing requirements, please know that there's not a lot that Superintendent Howell or anyone on this board can really do as far as these mandates. So I encourage folks to reach out to your local legislators, write to them, email them, let them know how you feel, and keep on them. I've already sent my letter, so thank you.
Anybody else?
Mrs. Bricks, I neglected to mention one thing, which is that technically tonight is Molly's last meeting with us as a student representative. She'll be graduating from Wyndham High School on June 13th. And I'm hoping we can get her at least for a few minutes on the 16th, just to thank her for her 2 years. But technically tonight is her last night as a Wyndham High School student. And I know she's doing some exciting things with her courting ceremony. I just appreciate her insight that she's provided and the work that she's done behind the scenes to get student input. She's been a very valuable asset to the RSU 14 board, but we'll try to get her for the 16th so that the board can offer congratulations.
Terrific. It's always great to have student voice when we have our discussions, and she certainly contributed. So I wish her well in her future endeavor. I just wanted before, unless anybody else, does anybody else have anything? No? I just wanted to highlight the rest of our meetings for the month of June. We will be meeting on the 16th. We will also certify election and declaration of votes. We'll be meeting on the 23rd, where we will have, hopefully by then, we will have selected an architect, and that architect will come before us for the Wyndham Middle School project to give a presentation. And then on the 30th, a very brief meeting where we will vote to approve the architect. And then we will be taking the month of July off, fingers crossed, and come back to you all live in person in August. So with that being said, we will move into an executive session. May I have a motion, please?
You may. I move to enter into executive session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 4056A and not return to the regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Leviang,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
and Christina Small.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Good night.